Where should I even start? All I gotta say is that this year was pretty bad. But it has also been really good. Now, it's been a while since I've uploaded because I just had to take in what I just had to go through the entire year. And everything that happened, everything that went up, everything that went down. And I had to kind of shift my focus into the new year because it is now 2026 and it's going to be a little different. And I just never know what's going to happen. And, well, the future is unpredictable, so we just have to embrace what we experience. And the only way we can shift it to where we want it to go the way we expected is, just work for it. And just, no matter what, you have to get through whatever you have to go through. But I'm going to pretty much commentate my entire 2025 year recap video. It has been 5 years since I've pretty much uploaded my first video on this channel, and it's been 5 years, and it feels like I went back to 2020 because of how bad 2020 was. We'll just have to reflect and just see how this year went. All I just gotta say, this has been an interesting year, honestly. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but the main goal was to do bike life for 2025, and going into it, I had the e-bike, and I think it was stolen. Yeah. And managed to get it back eventually after over a week, I think. And from then on, I just realized I probably need to make some changes. But at the same time, I was trying to enjoy what I had, and I still had a girlfriend at the time, so I was mainly focusing on myself during this time period, and obviously got to meet really cool people like Alex and hang out with him a lot more. At the same time, I had Chandler that was also there for me whenever I wanted someone to talk to and everything. I'd say a pretty good highlight for this year on the channel is building Becky's e-bike, and I feel like I helped a lot of people. Just building a bike together, and getting to test ride it and everything, just trying out other bikes and stuff. But obviously later on, I managed to sell my MacBook that I had and my e-bike, and ended up getting the PC and got the dream setup. Kind of what I hoped for, and honestly, I wish I could have went. I wish I would have gotten the PC sooner had I known that all the cool stuff you could do on the PC, and how flexible you can be on whatever you can do, anything you can think of on a PC. So I was pretty proud of that, getting my first PC, and that was just the best thing I've pretty much bought besides the bike. Later on, it was a pretty rough recovery from a long relationship I've ever had, and there was so many mixed emotions going on, and it's just, it's not the end of the world. If you've ever experienced a heartbreak, especially if it was a long-term one, you gotta understand that you can't depend your life entirely on that person, and you always gotta remember that you have yourself. And that's just something I kind of struggled with over time, because you never realize how much you meant to that person, and how much that person means to you, until you no longer have them with you, and they just become a stranger to you. But obviously during that recovery, I was trying out new things like I normally do. I learned to drive a manual on a sim race setup. I've never driven a manual in person, like an actual manual car, And that's just something I find as an achievement, that I figured out how to learn manual hand in hand. And yeah, it was a pretty good experience, and I'm honestly proud of myself. And then obviously, the next thing you know, I locked in and got myself another bike, and this is what kind of became the beginning of the highlight of my entire year, is building this bike that I bought for such a low price and with very minimal issue. But at the same time, it's not fully functional, so it's kind of like rebuilding like a whole new vehicle. And obviously, that was like months of working and trying to create income to invest in this bike, so that way it's the way I want it to be. And while that's happening, a lot of milestones we've made. We've hit 100 subscribers on YouTube in 2025, and I thank you guys so much for the support and still watching my videos, whoever's still stuck around. My upload consistency is not the best, but I try to put some content out there and try to share my life experiences. And obviously, the bigger, longer experiences that I wanted to share, I had to share them on YouTube, because you can't upload long videos on Instagram and such. So I kind of just threw it in my YouTube channel. And I would love to look, sometimes I like to look back on these videos and just they could re-experience them again, because it feels like I was there just yesterday. But either way, you can still look at my Instagram. This is where I'm gonna post most of my small little content here and there. And it's just something I embrace. Like I said, life experiences all over my Instagram, and then I try to post whatever I experience in the current time on this channel. So obviously, there's been a handful of moments, riding a Grom, basically self-teaching myself how to ride a motorcycle, pretty much on my own. And that was just another great achievement. Like, I got to know how to ride an actual motorcycle instead of, I guess you could say posing as a biker. But I know how to ride. It's pretty straightforward. I've watched a lot of videos, and I've always wanted to get my hands on an actual motorcycle and actually learn to do that, which is awesome. Summer, it was there's some ups and downs. I met some girls and some people, and some of them end up not talking to ever again, and others actually kept me accompanied. And I'm just glad to meet those kind of people. You just never know who you're gonna run into, especially when I was on the bike. I met a lot of people when I was on the bike, because I was constantly out and and having fun, especially in the games on my PC. Playing Backrooms was definitely a good highlight. And like I said, just going out and just doing what you love doing, and then finding people that love the same thing you do, is just the best feeling ever. But yeah, honestly, this bike has kind of been like my therapy, kind of like my car. And it's, after I finished building it, it was just, you kind of just live, and you kind of just enjoy the little moments, like attending a community group ride for the first time ever on an actual bike, and going out and just being part of something that you don't normally be part of. But going on, I think after the summer was over, I was just trying to figure out, okay, what are we planning on doing at the end of the year, because I just have no clue what's going on. With my my content making, I'm trying to figure out the ideas of what to do when the weather just gets colder. And but it's just, for me, it's kind of hard to come up with ideas when a lot of things kind of cost money, and sometimes there have been down weeks on work. And so I try to just make most of what's free, what doesn't really cost anything. So this just, can't really describe it, but I'm not really trying to push myself to just throw content out there. I try to be creative with my own ideas, and if I feel like making a specific video, I go out and do it. I'm just kind of motivated that way. If I put my mind to it, and just make it and just make the best of it. But as I went on, I spent a lot more time with Chandler later, in pretty much at the end of the year, because he had to make changes with his own life. He's kind of having his own struggles right now, and I feel like we were just in the same boat as 2020. We were trying to figure out what are we gonna do moving forward. But I'd say this year was pretty interesting. There was a lot of really good things and a lot of bad things. It's just been a lot. And I want you guys to realize is that when you go through something and you feel like everything is against you, you kind of just have to pick yourself back up and keep moving forward. Don't recommend looking back and trying to go back to how it was, but experiencing nostalgia is always a good thing. Remind you of how happy you were, and that's something you kind of just really look forward to, and you just take that moments where you remember when you were that happy. You kind of just try to bring that into today's timeline. Try to find something that makes you happy again, that brings you back to that moment. But this year, bike life, I'd say this was a successful goal. There was a lot of things that kind of made it kind of a bad year, and I would honestly say it wasn't really a good year, but in the end I still accomplished what I was setting my goal to at the beginning of the year. And I remember making a video about it in my last year's recap, the 2024. So with that being said, 2026, I honestly have no clue what I'm going to be doing. All I know is I need to start structuring myself towards my future. I want to move out somewhere within the next year or two, because I've been living in Kansas my entire life, and I kind of just want to make changes to where I'm going to be more driven to my career and my dream home of where I want to live for the rest of my life, because I'm 24 and I will be turning 25 this year. But 2026, usually when I do New Year stuff and a New Year goal, I want to improve what went wrong in the previous year and try to work on that a little more. But at the same time, I'm still trying to shift my focus to becoming a better person, to become a person that wants to be working their dream job and eventually, reach end game and just enjoy life. But for 2026, so one thing I want to improve is finding the right person, finding a second half, finding a someone I can go back to back with, and I will call it the love letter, because I have a really small, close group that I kind of open up to, and I just want to find someone to put all my trust in and, spend a lot of time with, and just, someone you can just build and grow over time. And if it's going to be a forever thing, that's amazing. That's kind of what I want to shoot for. I want to find someone to go back to back with, and you just never give up. And I feel like having that trustworthy person will definitely improve my mental health and the motivate and help me drive back to becoming on top in terms of confidence, and get myself back on my feet after an emotional roller coaster of what last year was. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's been a while, but I'm trying to shift on what this year is going to be, what I need to start doing, and like I said, I'm going to try to sell my bike. I need to make changes. I need to kind of step down from bike life a little bit. And, you know, you never know if I get another bike this year or, you know, something exciting happens. You just never know. And as of now, we're just going to work at it and have some fun on the little moments and, you know, put myself out there and just do what you got to do. Guys, leave a like, subscribe for some more content, and I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. Happy New Year.